You're listening to the Wayward Atheist Podcast. Hello, everyone. If this is your first time listening, thank you for joining us. This is a podcast where borders collide, where the gloves are off, where filters are removed, where we tell you exactly what we think about the news, politics, and religion. The Wayward Atheist Podcast is dedicated to free thought, reason, and the pursuit of truth. You can follow us on Twitter at Wayward Atheist, on Spreaker, Stitcher, and iTunes. You can email us at waywardatheistpodcast@gmail.com. or leave us a comment on our Facebook page. So without further ado, let's get on with the show.
Hello and welcome to the Wayward Atheist Podcast. I'm Dave, aka the Great White North.
I'm Ed, the Everyday Atheist.
And I'm Dustin Dark.
Of Dustin Dark fame.
Of Dustin Dark fame. That is the best fame to have, sir.
Right on. So, what's up, guys?
Nah, not much, man.
Well,
not much at all.
How did your week go, Ed?
Oh, man, Saturday we had a fucking major storm. It took out, like, telephone wires, transformers. It actually took pieces off of people's homes. I got two car windows busted out because of the wind. Well, I was driving in 180 kilometer an hour winds. Not the brightest idea, but that's what happened.
With your children in the car?
My two children and my mother.
Well, we won't say children, teenagers.
Teenagers.
Not make it look like you're driving down the road with 2-year-olds in their fucking car, strapped in their car seats while there's wind blowing everywhere.
No, and geez, when I left the community where I live, it was fine, and then I get to another community to get to the mall, and it's like torrential winds, and I got some debris come off a building and nailed my windows and smashed them.
Dustin, you notice how he says community, not city?
I did notice that.
He lives in a fucking village.
Right.
Village of the damned.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for you. I really do, man.
I have 35,000 people in the community I live in. So.
Okay. And how large of a space does this community take up?
Roughly about 10 or 15 kilometers.
You know, how many people per square mile? That's my question.
See, we have lots of people per square mile.
You have to rephrase it.
Okay.
How many newfies per square mile? Because they're not quite people, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Here's a backup question. How many books per square mile?
Oh, fuck you.
Oh, that was low, wasn't it?
How many
That was
books
low.
that aren't taxed?
Oh,
with a special
0
tax. Not just like a regular sales tax, but a book tax.
Yeah. We have an illiteracy rate of like 40%, and they got closing down libraries and taxing books. Fucking idiot.
Break away from the yoke of the crown. You could probably get some books that aren't taxed.
No,
Jesus fucking Christ,
dude! I'm the only province in this in Canada that has a book tax.
Yeah, no, Canada doesn't.
Look, we're real good at overthrowing governments. All you guys got to do is give us a wink and a nod. It'll be over real quick.
You guys actually have more sales tax. Like, your sales tax isn't higher, but you guys actually put taxes on more things than we do. So, like, food isn't taxed here. Children's clothing isn't taxed here. Diapers aren't taxed here. Like, the necessities in life are not taxed. You're kind of hurting my feelings. Maybe I'll go to the doctor and get them checked for free.
Oh, I'm a fucking okay pansy in front of the doctor when you got nothing wrong. I'll tell you what, I'll die from fucking infection like a real man.
Oh, yeah, and have sex with your cousin.
Yeah, when I fuck a prostitute, I will go down with that disease.
When I fuck my sister cousin, I'll go down with that disease. God damn it, because I'm a real American.
When I fuck my brother aunt,
American.
American.
Right on. Anything else, Ed?
Dustin's still a Yank.
Yeah, he is. Anyway.
No. I get it. You're just jealous of the free folk. I get it.
Oh, snap.
Actually, we're rated the freest country on the planet. But anyways, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Tell us about your week, dude? Motherfucker.
My week was fine. Thank you. How was yours? It was good.
Dustin's had a little drinky drink. A little drinky poo. I saw him with a girly drink in the background there. It was kind of like a yellowy looking thing.
yellowy looking thing. That's just a glass.
What's in it though?
What's it called? I don't know.
Yeah, see, girly. Anyways, moving on. How was your week?
What I would do is recommend a podcast that I listened to recently. It's the show is called Stuff You Should Know. And the episode is Southerners aren't lazy and dumb. They just had hookworm. And they make a pretty significant case that up to the 1930s and 40s, probably had a significant case of hookworms that would cause developmental problems, lethargic nature, difficulty learning, things like that. So that would probably explain a lot of the stereotypes that go back barefoot? To. It is from walking around barefoot in human manure. That's where it came from because people would come and collect like shit from the outhouses and stuff at night. And then they would turn it into fertilizer and sell it to the farmers.
God damn it!
So there is what was called the hookworm belt that goes from West Virginia to East Texas. So even through the Civil War and all that, there was probably significant infection of everyone in the South, which probably explained why we developed so much slower than the rest of the country and everything else. So much less productive early on.
So the cold weather actually made us more productive because we had to wear fucking shoes and our shit was frozen.
And there's also far less parasites that live in that type of weather.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
So
I agree.
we're also, particularly here in Alabama, we're kind of in between, the temperate and the tropic zone. So we get a lot of tropic pests that end up migrating as it gets warmer and warmer coming up. But I had a buddy move here from Missouri and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna walk everywhere barefoot." And I was like, "You're gonna get fucking hookworm." So, hey, Marty, you should probably go get that checked, bro, because it's actually quite a problem.
Marty, you fucking dumbass. Don't play with shit either.
Oh, harsh. Harsh.
Was that a bit too harsh? Sorry.
No, it was just right.
Sorry, Marty. Marty McFly. Motherfucker.
Marty McFly.
Marty the motherfucker. My turn. Depressingly, I'm now 40 years old. God damn, son of a bitch. Shut up, you're in your 30s. You don't get to...
This is, your body expects you to die right about now.
It feels like I'm dying right about now. I'm dying inside. I've been crying all week. Ever since I turned 40, I've been crying inside. Like... I've been feeling like that REM song, Everybody Hurts Sometimes. Inside, my soul's been hurting since I turned 40. I want to cry.
Is it because your bone structure and your joints are going to start deteriorating at a significant rate from this point forward, and there's nothing we can do to stop that as far as science knows?
As soon as I turned 40, I woke up, I had arthritis. I had weird hairs growing out of my ears. I had to pluck my nose hairs, and my balls dropped 2 inches immediately as soon as I turned damn 40. It was.
Have you stepped on them yet?
I have not, but I do not advise running after the age of 40.
Do you know that little key that's on cam? You know that key that you open that crappy.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, yeah. That's what you're gonna need for your ball sack.
Oh fucking god. That's a Hawaiian delicacy, and my balls are a Canadian delicacy, you fuck. I did listen to the second round of Jordan Peterson, Sam Harris over the week here, and I took away a few things from it. So I'll just do a quick rundown on it. Basically, the Truth episode, that was a fucking mess. They didn't get anywhere, right? So this time Sam let him talk more than he probably should have, but I guess he wanted to be more a more open host and like have the podcast actually progress, since he had 30,000 requests for them to do it again, or 30,000 responses, and 80% wanted them to do it again. I would say that Jordan Peterson is just selling a new apologetic, personally.
I think it's an old apologetic with a new spin. That's all I think.
That's what I mean. And if you take his architect of the hero, right, and he's saying that Jesus is the perfect man, well, first, he's not even like the best hero ever constructed by human beings, right? So it's like taking on sin. Okay, so he took on sin, and he sacrificed himself for sin, yet you still have to, like, you're still born in sin. So he didn't actually do shit. Like nothing actually happened. So he had himself sacrificed because he's gonna cure man of sin. Yet in the Christian belief, everybody's still fucking born in sin. And the other problem that I have with it is like, if you even believe Jordan Peterson that he considers Jesus a myth, or like the Christian God version to be a myth, it's a lot of the people that he's going to bring into this new agey type of, and it's funny that he goes after new age people, but he has like a new age version of Christianity. He's going to bring them in, and they're going to start believing in Christianity, and they're going to go to the full on fucking fundamental Christianity. Like, it's 100% bound to happen. I'm not saying all of them will, but it's 100% bound to happen.
But well, don't you find it very odd that he uses the concept of the Bible as literature, yet he chooses Christianity, but he gives no rationale for Christianity. He doesn't give any really good arguments that
no, he gives
back up his claim for Christianity.
It's the architect of the hero that he's using to. It's Jesus himself, and the other. Let me get to that. I'll get to the point where he doesn't actually get into Christianity, because I believe that. Well, I'll just do it now. It's fine. So I think that Okay, so he didn't disclose to Sam Harris what we uncovered, that he thinks that the only reason why communism isn't around today and the only way to combat communism is through Christianity, right? He thinks that atheism, or through religious thinking. Otherwise, we're going to be communists if we're atheists. So I think that he thinks that Christianity itself, the teachings, is a necessity to keep people away from communism, which he didn't disclose, which I find it kind of funny. I kind of find it funny that he didn't disclose the fact that he thinks that atheism leads to communism to Sam Harris. I also found it really funny that in the videos that in the research that you and I did, Ed, we found videos of him saying that Sam Harris wasn't very smart.
Yes, and likewise with Hitchens and Dawkins.
So and then when he's on the podcast with Sam Harris, he's sucking Sam's dick about how smart he is and how laser focused he is. I found that very off-putting, that dishonest that he was doing that. I also find it ludicrous that he uses Christianity when he's speaking of the hero archetype, and he's saying that, you know, that humans need something to aspire to, something to look up to. That if he didn't actually believe in Christianity, why he would use something that has so much fucking baggage and so much fucking tyranny and so much killing and so much hate behind it. Because let's remember, maybe I'll give you that Jesus maybe could have been a good person, but I would debate that. I would debate that there's some real issues with the way that he conducted and the way that he's saying, you know, you have to believe in my Father or you're going to go to hell. There's issues there, but to saddle it with something that has a strict dogma that is an authority, right?
And you also have to understand that Jordan Peterson is a Catholic. For some reason, Catholicism is his brand of Christianity.
But what he was saying on the podcast, he was saying that orthodoxy is the one that was describing, Christian orthodoxy. Because Sam Harris called him on something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he said, not in orthodoxy. And Sam's like, well, I'm not really familiar with that, so I can't speak to that. I really think that Sam should have nailed him on the points of, don't you find it dangerous dragging people into Christianity, telling them that it's mythology, but he's not always going to be around to tell them that it's mythology, so, you know, preachers are going to be able to convince them that fundamental Christianity is the real deal, and they're gonna not believe in evolution and things like that.
Yeah, I think Sam nailed him pretty good when he brought up an excerpt from his book
Yes.
where he just pulled a random recipe and made it the most deep spiritual type of meaning, which is what I write songs, I listen to a lot of music, and that's exactly what you do there too.
Yes.
Right. You can make anything into anything, right? You don't have to have the religion to do it. And he really does that, and that's all he's doing.
Yes.
He's doing this postmodern, as much as he shits on postmodern. He's doing a postmodern reading of the fucking Bible.
Exactly. And that's the thing. That's the thing that when we did our Jordan Peterson episode and Ed and I, did the research on him, we found him to be all over the place, actually. Like very contradictory in almost a different person in each video. And when the spotlight was on him in interviews, like when the lights were brighter, he toned down his speaking a lot when it came to the religion part. Like it became much more of a mythological teaching where and on Sam Harris he was like all about the science, but we listened to videos where he was saying that science can't answer shit. Where only religion, and in his own words, and I quote, only religion can answer the really tough questions. Where on this episode of the Sam Harris podcast, he was like, yeah, science is the only way to answer anything, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, like, what the fuck, man? Like, and he said Sam wasn't smart.
He said that he considers himself a
scientist too. And he's not. He's a and a respected clinical psychologist. But anyways, I just found it to be fucking bullshit. If I had more time, I would go further into it, but this is just fucking how's your week? So that's how my week was. Listening to goddamn fucking Jordan Peterson. So this week we went on to the Brainstorm Podcast to take a critical look at Justin Trudeau. I think I presented my case of why I think he's a hypocrite and not an actual good leader. I don't know. What do you guys think of that?
I think you made a pretty good point. How about this? I think you made my point that he reminds me of Joel Osteen so much.
And Ed, what do you think?
I think we went on and you made such a good case in that there was no pushback. So when you have no pushback, it's either there wasn't anything to be pushed back against, or there wasn't any. There was a lack of information, and I don't think. I'll leave it up to the listeners to see which one of the two they think it is. But I think it was just that there was nothing to push back against. It was a solid case.
Yeah, when you bring news reports of him being a hypocrite, it's hard to look you in the face and say he's not a hypocrite. But anyway, I guess let's get into the show.
Yeah, let's do it.
No.
I'm Corey, and my panel tonight are Angela.
Hello.
And Lisa.
I can't match that hello.
With the always amazing Dave doing sound. Hooah. We're here in Roman Empire Studios in Regina, Saskatchewan, and today is March 17th, 2017. This week we've got a bit of a team-up episode going. We're joined by the crew from the Wayward Atheist podcast to take a critical look at the Trudeau Liberal government. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Word.
Thanks for having us.
Why don't you introduce yourselves and let the people know who you are?
Well, I'm Dave, a.k.a. The Great White North. I'm the host of the Wayward Atheist podcast. I've been on the Brainstorm previously.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Last year, I want to say.
Yep.
Yeah, during the summer.
During
That was
the summer.
fun.
Yeah. Talked about Game of Thrones in my shitty childhood.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that podcast. That was fun.
Right on. Well, I'll make it fun again tonight.
There you go.
So
Right on.
next to introduce himself is going to be the Brainstorm Fluffer.
That would be me. Ed, the everyday atheist.
Perfect.
And the new guy.
I am Dustin Dark, and they don't like me enough to give me a nickname, so you just call me Dustin Dark.
Oh.
No fluffing for you.
Dustin
Yeah.
Dark is a
Oh.
pretty good name anyway.
Oh, you're breaking my heart there. I do all right with it.
So,
Got the,
Big Black Gay Dave wanted to be here, but he. So we're doing a Patreon only Alex Jones thing, and he's balls deep in trying to debunk some of the nasty claims that. Mine were super easy. I was just like 2 Google searches and I was done. It was like his claims,
Right.
those were so easy to debunk. Like the first claim was like he gets more views than CNN. Now CNN is not the powerhouse it used to be, so they're down a bunch. But like primetime peak for CNN is 1.5 million views per day, and Alex Jones gets 4 million a month. So, I mean, that was pretty easy to debunk right off the bat.
yeah, so you got an easy one.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the next one, fuck, I can't remember what it was now. Took me sideways. But, sorry, my language is.
No
No.
worries.
We've got the explicit
This has
one.
the explicit tag.
We do fucks here.
Lots of fucks.
Yes.
Well, I like fucking, so I'll fuck some more.
That works out well.
Fucks work.
Right on. Anyways, mine were super easy. David's were super hard, so that's what David's doing tonight. He is listening, though.
Cool.
So shout out to Big Black Gay Dave.
Right
Hey,
on.
what's up, Dave?
Hello, Dave.
There's three Daves involved tonight. There's him, me, and the other guys. So
Yeah.
Those are Daves I know.
There's multiple Daves.
Lots of Daves.
These are the Daves I know.
Yes.
There used to be a radio
I remember
station.
what it was now. What my second claim was now. He had said that the Russians, the communists, Saudi Arabia, and somebody else had tried to stop Donald Trump from being elected. So the only way that you could deduce that they would be stopping trying to get him elected would be that they donated to the Hillary Clinton campaign. So if you look at Hillary Clinton's campaign donations, you will find Saudi Arabia there, but it's from 2008 and it's donated to the Hillary Clinton Foundation. So it's not really
It doesn't
like
really
for
work.
this, it's not 2016 donation, and it's not really to the actual campaign. It's, well, there's some shady shit with her too. So anyways, moving on.
Moving on.
Pizza joints.
So the purpose of
Oh,
this
that's
team
coming
up is to criticize, take a critical look at the Justin Trudeau government. And
what I wanted to do. Sorry, you wanted me.
no,
to do
go
more.
ahead, man.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do is I noticed that like on the world stage, people seem to think that this guy's a fucking rock star. That he's like the best prime minister ever, and that everything must be fucking great in Canada because we have this super progressive, totally awesome. All the fucking soccer moms want to fuck him. All the guys want his hair, but it's just not the reality in Canada. It's just not. And I vote further left than Justin Trudeau. So I vote NDP. So this is not going to be some right wing slant of
No, that's
like
right.
bullshit. This is an actual critical look at the things that he says and then the actions that he takes after it. So, so go ahead, Dustin.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to butt in. I've called in from Alabama today, so I don't know a whole lot about Justin Trudeau, but I went through and I've watched some of his speeches and I've read some stuff about him, and probably going to hurt a few Canadian feelings today. He reminds me of Joel Osteen, a better Joel Osteen.
Burn.
But he does. He has
burn.
that like he's going to look at the camera and smile, and there's going to be like a little glimmer of light shine off his teeth, and he's going to open his shirt up just enough for the hair and a muscle to pop through, and people are popping out everywhere, and just go along with whatever the fuck he says.
Then girls are magically going to become pregnant.
So that's the right.
Yeah.
Women walk past, they end up pregnant just from a glance. Yeah. And I think a little bit of it's fluff and a put on, but that's the feeling I get from him. So,
most politicians do put on fluff, right? So he's using what he's got, right? So Bernie Sanders uses disheveled Jew look to his advantage when he walks out there, very unassuming, and then he'll smoke you in a debate.
He's
Justin's got his hair.
Yeah.
Like the only not actual shot I'm going to take at him is that as soon as you get him off script, the ahs, after every word drives me fucking crazy. It shows a lack of intelligence. And I say this because like one of his campaign managers was on an American television show and they were interviewing her and they were talking about Pierre Trudeau's intellect. And everybody knows whether or not you like Pierre Trudeau or the things that he did, everybody knows that he had genius level IQ. And she asked that question about Justin. And this is what his campaign advisor said. Justin has a high emotional IQ.
Oh.
But I mean, another way to say that is he has charisma, right? Like he has like that. I mean, he sort of kind of.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
But if you listen to him speak when he goes off script, it's is every second word. That's the only shot I'm going to take at him because it drives me nuts trying to listen to
I don't
somebody.
know if that necessarily reflects on his intelligence. It just means he's shitty at talking that way, and he should be better at it because he's a politician. He doesn't necessarily. I know lots of very smart people
that came from the drama
poorly.
world, like he was a drama teacher before this. You figure that he would be fucking
improv wasn't his strong suit.
I guess not.
But he is good at putting on a performance, as we've already pointed out. You know, so I mean,
that's right.
Yeah, but
calm down,
there is a think tank behind there that's writing those
performance.
My head is so itchy, Dave.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, Ed, do you want to say anything?
I just think that some of his policies don't match up to the rhetoric he's spewing. It just seems totally incongruent to, his speeches and his great moments on camera. And then you look at the policies and they're totally out the left field compared to what he's actually saying. So the juxtaposition for me is crucial here.
Can you give an example, like what is incongruous?
Sure. When he talks about how wonderful of a feminist he is, and then he goes into a mosque which segregates men and women, and he takes 2 female MPs. They have to go into the side door. They're not allowed to speak. They have to be covered, and they are not allowed to speak to the men. But he goes in and he speaks and he looks up and says, "Wow, what diversity!" To me, that's incongruent when you're trying to fight for the equality of women. Yeah. So he has a public appearance of being a feminist, yet what he's doing in practice is totally opposite.
And also he's initially he was just a participant in the sale of weapons to Saudi Arabia that are at this moment killing women and children in Yemen. Now he's a participant because the contract is ongoing after Harper had signed it. He now signs it and okays it. So we know for a fact Saudi Arabia, corporal punishment on women. They have to have a male with them at all times when they're out in public. They're not allowed to drive. They live their life in a fucking garbage bag. And the weapons are, like I said, are being used against women and children in Yemen. So as Dustin pointed out before, it is naive to think that a government isn't going to sell weapons to another government, but to parade yourself around on TV before you do it at home in Canada saying it's 2015. I'm a feminist. And then again, in his speech, last week, that Dustin and I were listening to, he said, it's a big problem when every man in my country won't call himself a feminist. Well, I don't call myself a feminist, sir, but I believe in equal rights for everybody. And in my home, things are 50-50. And I've never, ever, ever, ever tried to tell my wife what to do. Yet you deal with people on a regular basis that'll throw acid in the face of a woman. So whose actions, he's calling himself a feminist, but the actions don't speak.
It's a problem actually in feminism. The male feminist who calls themselves that and then doesn't act in any accordance with any kind of egalitarian ideals.
Okay. I mean, yes, I think you can criticize things that Justin Trudeau has done with respect to women, but you can't, I think earlier, Ed, you said that he was the opposite of a feminist, which I don't think is a fair argument either. I mean, Donald Trump is the opposite of a feminist, right? Like he has zero respect for women, and sexually assaulting women, clearly not respecting women. So, I mean, I think it is important for the Canadian Prime Minister to say that he is a feminist, and that the optics of that are good. And I think that it's not a bad thing. He's not perfect, and but I don't think he's the opposite of a feminist.
Hang on, I'm going to say that Donald Trump is treating women better than the women in those mosques that can't even look a man in the face or take part in the worship. You know, like he might be rude. He might even sexually assault. Like, I mean, come on, like they're second class citizens, literally in the religion. They're not equal. They're not the same. Like, I think that is more antithetical to feminism than what Donald Trump is, who I don't support. Just to be clear, I'm gonna go and wash my hands. I'll trade for Trudeau right now. Anytime I talk about a foreign leader as an American, I want to say, I'll trade you. Take him.
Before we move on anywhere, I want to set this straight. And who was the one that just brought up Donald Trump?
That was Lisa.
And okay. Hey, this is not an attack. This is not an attack on you. But this is Canada, and my standard bearer is not fucking Donald Trump. So I really don't give a fuck what Donald Trump does. I'm talking about the leader of Canada.
No.
Right
I was criticizing the position that Justin Trudeau is the opposite of a feminist, because then the example of the opposite would be Donald Trump.
Would the opposite
very
of
low
a
bar?
feminist,
Agreed.
Would the opposite of a feminist say this? We shouldn't call honor killings barbaric, or would that be something a feminist would say?
No, that is not a feminist statement. I agree with you.
Okay, so that is something that Justin Trudeau has actually said.
Right. So I'm agreeing with you that he's not an ideal feminist. I'm just saying he's not the opposite of a feminist.
He said that they're not barbaric. Now,
no, he said that we shouldn't call them barbaric.
Yeah, which is obviously a very problematic statement.
Okay, so this is not a feminist. So I would say that's the opposite of feminist behavior. And if you're going to say something like that, and then you're going to go out in public and say that you're a feminist and maybe do some other feminist things, I would even bring that into hypocritical territory.
And I have to throw this out there too. Like, one of the things that he did when he came into cabinet, into office, was he made the cabinet 50-50.
Yes.
Now, on the appearance of that, on the face of that, it seems like a great idea. However, what if 50% of the men that qualified for the position, because they were male, they don't have the qualifications to be a cabinet minister, but because there's a quota issue to that, they have to have 50% male. Likewise, what if 100% of the women in the cabinet were qualified, but 50% have to be now take a backbench seat because there is a quota of 50% male? The opposite can be said as well. What if 50% of the women aren't qualified, but 100% of the men are? My thing is did the female in his cabinet get the position, or the male in either way, get the position because they were of their gender or of their qualifications? And I think it does a disservice to both men and women to be seen not by the merits of their case or of their qualifications, but based on the manner of their gender. I think that's an opposite way to think about things. I think the quality of the character of the person is what we should look at. If it's 100% women in the cabinet, that's the way it should be.
So you don't agree with affirmative action as a policy, which is fine, but
is the quality? I mean, you could be throwing out great cabinet ministers that are women because you have a quota limit,
right? I mean, that's the argument against affirmative action. I mean, but a lot of feminists agree with affirmative action. I don't know that particular action is antithetical to being a feminist.
No, but I don't think it's antithetical. I just think it does a great disservice to women.
I will say something that is antithetical to it, and I don't know if this is Justin Trudeau's fault or not, but the irony of it is the 50% female cabinets for the first, I think it was 6 months or whatever, but when they were first hired, they were paid as junior MPs instead of full rate.
Yeah, that was really, they received criticism for that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, mm-hmm. and it took like them receiving criticism of it before it was even changed. Mm-hmm. right? They didn't just, oh, fuck, I fucked up. I'm the prime minister. Here you go. Fucking, we have majority government. Here's full fucking pay.
Yeah.
No, it took criticism before it was actually changed.
Yeah.
So basically what we're stating is he claims that he is a feminist, that he is a feminist foremost. Yet it takes criticism. It takes, and he does things that are just opposing feminism or females in particular, and women, that I don't understand how he can subsume that label. It doesn't make any sense to me.
But would you not agree, Ed, that he may think that his behavior is well within the bounds, right? Like he may not understand that he's not being a feminist. Like I could give him that.
I think yes, but I think it's because I think it gives him political credit. I really think so. I think it's more political gain.
Yeah. So you're looking at it more as from a cynical perspective.
Well, I do it with all politicians. Yeah. I mean, of course, but I mean, yes, he may think that he's a feminist and do hypocritical things like any human being. I get that, but I think it's part of the political credentials that he's trying to get, or credit.
Give us some pushback on this, Lisa.
Okay. I've become the great defender of Justin Trudeau, which was never really my intention. I sort of voted for him with my nose plugged. Like I just hated the Harper government so much. I just voted for the Liberals because that's who was most likely to win in my riding. I just didn't no more vote splitting, and I figured, well, anyway, no. So
I hear that a lot.
I
would get into that, but we're here for Justin Trudeau.
I think he is a politician.
Listening, Justin, we're here for you.
He is a politician. He lives in the real world. You know, like he has to make compromises in order to exist. Like that. In my workplace, and people might say things that I think are retarded, and I don't go up to them and say, I think that's so fucking retarded. I have to pick my battles, and I have to say, okay, I'm going to need this person later to get something else done. I'm going to need a favor. So I don't want to burn that bridge. I'm going to try to work with them and try to do what I think is best and safest and most helpful for our patients. But I'm not gonna be overly confrontational about it. So that's kind of how I view his attending a mosque, for example, or and that's not to say that everyone who attends mosque is an acid throwing Muslim honor killer. Some may be, but I'm just saying, like, it's not necessarily that it's always that it's all of them. So I'm just saying, right. I think he does what he can. Like, for example, he's been criticized for not speaking out more against things that the Trump government's doing in the United States. But the thing is, the United States is our biggest trading partner. He has to be very careful in how he deals with that administration, particularly because Trump is so well known to be so volatile. So, like, for example, when the original Muslim ban came out, Trump or Trudeau tweeted that Canada it wants to accept immigrants, and we think it's really important. And he wasn't, oh, I disagree with the Muslim ban, but it was clearly pointed toward them, and he did what he could. I don't know. That's politics. That's life. Do
you think that? And I just want to touch back on your work example for a second, but I want to ask you if you think that it was a good thing that Justin Trudeau went on TV and said that we'll take all the refugees, because I'm going to give you some examples of how that was actually bad. Corey and I have bantered back.
Yeah, we've talked
about
this.
Well, Canada is clearly not going to. Sorry.
People have actually been physically harmed because of this, right? Like, you can't walk across the fucking Canadian border in January and expect to make it to Canada with all
it's terrible
to make it here with all your fingers and your fucking toes, right?
Yeah.
So had he not made that statement, had he made this statement, had he said, the U.S. is closing up. I'm not saying say it in these words. This is just me and my no filter. Fucking Trump's an asshole. Come to Canada. Here is the hotline number for you to call. If you are somebody that wants to come across, here's a hotline number for you to call. The RCMP will then come and pick you up instead of you walking for fucking 20 hours in minus 30. And by the time you get here, you now have no more fingers. You now have no more toes. You're disabled and life's fucking expensive in Canada.
I want to speak from the perspective of somebody who actually experienced this. Like my family went through these kinds of things. When you're thinking you're going to get deported to a country and get fucking killed, you don't give a shit about the fact that you're walking through minus 20 and trying to get to somewhere. Like this was the fear. The fear is that you play the systems, you call the numbers, you go through the bureaucracy and nothing fucking happens. So what do? You panic. You're going to get killed. I'm going to walk across this border now. I don't think it had anything to do with what Justin Trudeau said. Right. I think they wouldn't have known that Canada would have been accepting of them to come here. And they also wouldn't have known about the loophole because there's actually an agreement between the United States and Canada. If you show up at a border, you're sent back. Okay. But if you walk across the border in the bush, then there's no, then the RCMP has to take you to the refugee station.
Was that made known? Like, are we associating the people walking across the border with Justin Trudeau's statement of?
I am.
You are?
My understanding is that the numbers are not increased over significantly increased over last year, for example. That's my understanding.
What exactly did he say? Can I find out exactly what he said?
He said Canada will take all of the all of the refugees,
and
basically. That the
he
US
said like come on.
That's not exactly what he said.
That's not exactly what was said.
Pretty much.
Like we have to have the actual quote to.
I would like to know to see what kind of message he put across, right? If it's like, swim or run or get in a car.
It wasn't that. No, it wasn't that.
Right. That was, it's what I'm wondering is how much he motivated them, because that's what we're asking, right?
Okay. Our premier said the same thing that he did, though.
I think Trump motivated them, though. I don't think I wouldn't put Trudeau on that. I mean, again, if Trump comes out and says, "Listen, we're gonna deport all these people, we're gonna ban this, we're gonna do that, blah blah blah," I mean, that's the catalyst to me. Not they're not watching. I'm pretty confident in that.
I would agree with you to a certain extent. Like, obviously, Trump is what set the fire, right? Then you have Justin Trudeau getting on television and saying that Canada will take the refugees that America won't.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a public figure and you are running a nation, if you're going to make that statement, you should set up logistics to get them here. Right? Sure. Like you shouldn't just say, words have meaning. And when you're the prime minister of a country, when you say something, there are consequences to your action. Now, I am not a person that says refugees can't come to Canada. That's just not who I am. We have a system. They'll come here. If they were illegal in the US and they don't have a case, they'll be heard and then they'll be sent back. If they do have a case, they'll be heard and they'll become Canadians. And I'm fine with that. My family are immigrants. My wife is brown. It's not like I'm like against them coming here, but I'm against somebody of, a political official that's running a country making a statement like come to Canada and not actually setting up logistics. I'm against people walking in the dark.
Though.
But what could they have done though, really? Like could the RCMP
set up a fucking set node, but they could pick them up at the border. Like the one guy tried to walk to fucking Winnipeg. He got into Canada and walked for fucking 20 hours. That's like he was in Canada and walked for 20 hours.
We were talking on Facebook about that and almost like even if citizens went down and set up a system where we pick these people up so that they're not walking in the winter. Okay,
but here's the thing. These border crossings are illegal. This is not the way the government wants people to get into Canada, right? True. So I don't know that they can endorse this, right?
Okay, but sorry, go ahead.
As far as I know, they do they not have a path for being a refugee to Canada?
Absolutely.
I don't.
There is,
So basically the way that this works right now, because they're coming from the US, what they do is they cross in the wilderness and then eventually when they either find an RCMP officer or they find an official, the official places them not under arrest, but places them in custody and then brings them to immigration. And then they get their refugee hearings. They get processed and however long that takes. But you say that we're not in favor of this, but and this is kind of anecdotal.
No, I'm saying a government can't encourage illegal crossings is what I'm saying.
But I'm saying the RCMP, so there was a case where in, crossing in Quebec and New York. There was a family from, I want to say, where was Black Hawk Down again? Somalia. So there's a family of 4. There's a family of 4. They're running away from the American border guards, right? Because it turns out that this family was illegal, but they got into Canada anyways. So they're running, right? And the mother and the 2 children, or there was two women, 2 children, and then a man. And so they get across, and the RCMP are ripping them up the banks out of the fucking U.S. immigration officer's arms. And then the guy is standing there, and the American had grabbed the passports from him, and he managed to grab the passports from the American immigration official, and the RCMP yanked that guy out of the U.S. and basically threw him into Canada. Then the RCMP officer and the American immigration officer had a stare down with each other, like basically like, what? And the American said, they're illegal. And the RCMP was like, whatever, give me their suitcases, and fucking brought them into Canada. So you say they don't, but I mean, clearly they're like, clearly the Canadian governmental stance is against what Trump is doing, right?
So what I was saying, though, is that the Prime Minister of Canada cannot officially endorse these actions, whereas they might look the other way or unofficially, tacitly say, yeah, go ahead and do that if you want to do that. Like,
would you not say, though, that saying that we would take all of the refugees that the Americans wouldn't? I'm
pretty sure that's not what he said. Did we find that tweet?
No, I don't think anybody even
It wasn't
looked.
actually a tweet.
It was a speech.
I saw a video.
I'm thinking of the tweet.
I'm pretty sure there was a speech.
I'm actually looking up, he said, to those fleeing persecution, terror, and war, Canadians will welcome you regardless of your faith. Trudeau wrote on Twitter on Saturday, diversity is our strength.
Dave and I saw the same.
So that's the exact quote.
Yeah. So it's not
the speech.
It's still vague. It's not.
Yeah, it's pretty ambiguous, isn't it?
It's very vague.
But it's 142 characters, people. Like,
how about this, guys? I think everyone here has made fair points. Certainly Trump started the fire. Trudeau could have been a little more careful. He could have said something along the lines of, hey guys, apply. We'll give you a fair hearing. We're not doing any sweeping bans. This is kind of a international law when it comes down to it. So just apply and stay calm, and we'll get this through. But hindsight is 2020. So
yeah,
fair enough.
I think everyone here has made fair points. But he's still doing a better job than our guy's doing. But that's not the discussion.
But I don't want to compare.
I don't want to compare him to Trump.
I'm not comparing, but it's. You can't have this conversation about refugees coming into Canada without bringing up Trump, because he looked, as we've all
because he's fucking everything up.
The cat.
So kind of fair play.
Next, I want to move into.
I want to talk about the feminism thing a little bit, and I'm sorry, but I'm a quiet person and I'm a listener, and then at the very end I'll say something. But what I wanted to say about the not associating with people that are initiating acid attacks, etc. I wanted to say that as a politician, further to what Lisa said, there's a level of diplomacy that has to occur when you're the leader of a nation, and you can't come out and be like, whatever guys, I'm a fucking feminist and you're a dick face for throwing acid at that girl's face. You can't do that. You have to.
No, he should say that to that specific person, but not to the whole group.
Absolutely.
Hang on. Slow your roll down for a second. I'm talking about selling weapons to somebody, not fucking. He doesn't have to sell weapons to them. And hang on 1 second. Would you be giving would you give the same leeway to Donald Trump right now that you're giving to Justin? Would you, if
Justin didn't talk about grabbing pussies, and Justin didn't talk about,
he sold weapons to somebody that grabs pussies?
He sold weapons to someone that supports a religion about selling pussies. So up that game.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. You have to be everybody's friend. And Justin, I don't know if he's doing.
Whoa. Hold up.
No, you don't.
Hold up. So we're willing to be a friend to a country that is willing to put women that confess, go to a police station in the country of Saudi Arabia. They say that they have been raped, and because they've been raped, they get buried to their neck.
Yes.
And then get stoned. That this and we have to be their friend. I say fuck that.
Well,
because
you know what? And
I have more dignity and morality, I think, than to want to be their friend. I think as a country of Canada, we have a great sense of identity and morality, and to go on and not say something to these people. We don't have to sell arms to these people. We don't have to sell arms to a country that is not only totalitarian, but is out. And by using the money that they do have, they have given money to people like Al Qaeda and indirectly to ISIS and other groups.
We're going to be friends with nobody then.
I'm left wondering,
who's going to be our friend?
Their
then?
labor practices suck. They put so many people to death, and yet one of their leaders is on the Human Rights Council of the UN.
And that's scary.
Yeah.
And women can't drive. And if you're an expat there, you have to hand over your passport at the airport, and they don't give it to you until you leave. You are a prisoner in that country. And I'm not disagreeing with you there, but I'm just suggesting that possibly Justin Trudeau is trying to be everybody's friend, and he's trying to be nice to everybody. Go to a mosque where women have to cover their heads, and that he's trying to be everybody's friend. And I think that honestly, I know you're shaking your head, but bear with me
that's
here.
That's a bad leader. That's a bad leader.
And I think you're right, because he's trying to have a good face in the press and with people. He did the town halls, and I don't know if he executed it very well, trying to answer questions in French and the way that he did that. But I'm just saying that I think that his approach, it may be well intentioned, but I don't know if he's executing it as well as he could.
In a discussion like this, I'm left wondering, do we know the reason that these things are happening? Like, what was the initial impetus for the original contract, and what reason did they give for continuing it?
So the original contract was, I want to address something before I address your question, Corey. I did say at the beginning, before I gave Saudi Arabia as an example and the other examples, that I do understand that Justin Trudeau does have to deal with. He doesn't really have to deal with them. He could, like most other countries should just tell Saudi Arabia to go fuck themselves, but they have a lot of money.
They have oil.
It's a tough situation. It's a really tough situation.
we don't actually need their oil. We can get into that later if you want, but we don't actually need their oil. We have enough oil. We'll be okay without their oil.
So why do we need them? Why are we kissing their ass then?
Which comes back to my original question.
Hang on. Okay. I did originally say that I'm not naive enough to not understand that in politics, people do make deals with people that they don't like, but you don't have to go on television parading yourself as like the great fucking the great feminist and the great progressive, and then do these things. It's hypocritical at its very fucking core. And I'm tired of people that don't live in this country and don't actually follow the news, that just think that he's like this, just seeing one side, like the American media angle of Justin Trudeau, and they think that he's all fucking great, but in reality, I'm pretty critical of things, so I'm gonna honeymoon's over, and it's time for and so David and Corey said that we would be left with no countries. Come on, man. Comparing Saudi Arabia to
okay, no, I can give you a direct comparison. I can give you a direct fucking comparison with the Americans
of our allies. You're really going to compare the Americans to Saudi Arabia?
Yes, because they murdered my entire fucking country. So I can do that. They came down to Chile. They came down to Chile and supported the entire genocide of people. Like they do shit like this all the time.
Okay,
and we're going to support them.
Did the citizens of the country? Because I more care about what
sure. There was cooperation from certain areas from certain right wing radicals in Chile who carried out this stuff from the rich and shit.
No, I'm talking about American citizens. I'm talking about. Does the average American citizen hate fucking Chile and go into fucking?
They did.
Because
they used to. Yes, they used to. They used to call us a bunch of fucking communists. No, they did. They did. Like our ambassador got murdered in the damn country. Like seriously. Like for us to sit back and pretend that some of the countries we deal with aren't involved in absolute atrocities, even though they're not the same. America subjugates the entire fucking East through trade and globalization. They enslave people, pay them fucking subservient wages so we can have a bunch of bullshit, which we're all guilty of.
I need some examples of this. I need like facts. You can't just throw that the entire East.
Well, I'm just saying that I'm saying that
the United States.
I'm saying, okay, we have a bunch of just wait though. We have a bunch of companies here, okay, who have deregulated through the governments, deregulated trade in certain areas, right? So we will make deals in other countries where they will disobey labor laws.
You will,
but they're not American companies. That's what you're calling. You're talking about international companies.
Well, yeah,
sure.
You're talking about
But my point is the American government is an arm of that. Okay, this is what happened in Chile. The reason why they came down to Chile is because the copper industry and a lot of the agricultural industry was expropriated by the government, okay? So we had a socialist government. So my dad was actually involved in this. And they came down to the country and they said, no, you kicked our companies out. This is our rightful shit. So we're going to come down and we're going to interfere in this. And we're going to overthrow your government. We're going to boycott your industries so that our companies can return and our investment dollars can return. And we don't care that we murder thousands of people and put you in concentration camps. We're going to do this because it's important for our resources and for our investment. And they do this in countries around the world like crazy, man. Like, look at the history. There's so much of it there.
They interfere.
They interfere like crazy. So what I'm saying is,
so what you're comparing I'm sorry. I just got to go back for a second. So the country of the United States.
Yes.
Treats its citizens how?
Well, that's a long story.
Nowhere near.
So it's okay to go kill other people, but not your own citizens.
Is it your claim that Chile?
No, I do live here. They treat us pretty well.
Yeah, sure.
In general, I'm mixed. I live in the Southeast, so.
But what good is it to treat your own citizens well if you're going to be so awful to other people? Like that's the thing I don't understand.
Okay, I'll get to that because Saudi Arabia treats its citizens like shit.
Well, sure they do.
And it has its hands in making other countries treat them like shit as well. So they pay for groups like ISIS and Al Qaeda and other places like Boko Haram and the list goes on. So they're not only treating their citizens like they're slaves, but they're also treating other countries. They want to make them equally as shitty or worse. So at least you can vote out a bad government out of the United States get reform.
You can to a point, but ultimately there's a lot of other economic forces at play there that you can't vote out.
You're talking about multinational companies.
Okay, I think what we're talking about here is a question of scale. Okay, I mean, I actually think I'm with
Trudeau somehow.
Yeah, I'm with our guest on this one. I think that doing deals with the Saudi Arabians is morally questionable at best. Sure. It's a shit thing to do. Okay. Like I honestly, like I can't think of a worse a more valid criticism, I guess, of the Trudeau government than that. I would agree that America has done lots of terrible things internationally and to their own citizens. You guys have really high disparity. You have, people going bankrupt from not being able to pay medical bills. You've got poverty unlike anywhere else in developed countries. I mean, you guys got stuff going on down there, which, whatever. And I'm just saying it's not perfect down there either. So, but I think, and a question of scales, I mean, would I rather live in Saudi Arabia or the United States?
Well, of course not.
I mean,
I think the point I'm
even
making,
a poor person in Saudi Arabia versus a poor person in the States.
I
No
want to
way.
address
No way.
I want to
I just
address
want-
something real
I just want to say one quick thing, though. The point I'm making is more along the lines of, it's not so much that I think that one country is more moral than the other or anything like that. I'm saying in the global scheme of things, there is an element of like partnership you have with other countries that's going to involve certain amounts of
Compromise.
shittiness and compromise.
But dealing with the Saudi Arabians is extra shitty, is what I'm saying.
It's true. And I'm not saying we
you
shouldn't
guys
be
are
critical.
Okay. So you guys are okay with our government compromising itself and our prime minister compromising itself, and I'm not.
What I'm saying,
I didn't say I was okay with it.
I'm not okay with it either, personally. What I'm saying is that there's a certain level that it occurs, and I don't think that you can like equivocally say that one prime minister is completely incongruent because of this one thing they do. Like there's a certain amount of incongruency.
I haven't gone through everything yet. So right now we're on feminism, and I don't. And
that's what I mean.
Sorry.
Though.
Maybe okay. So maybe call me fucking pedantic, but I don't think you should be calling yourself a feminist when you say that fucking honor killings shouldn't be called barbaric.
Yeah, but that's
and when you
okay,
sell
I did
weapons to
read
fucking
that,
Saudi
too.
Arabia.
Yeah.
Okay, like sorry, maybe it's just me, but I give a shit who my country deals with, and I do think it's important, and I don't really care if other countries do it, and I don't really care if other leaders do it.
I think that the question is whether or not a person without necessarily knowing all the possible variables that go into a decision like this can draw a hard line.
I was gonna give the backstory too. Okay, so
can I ask you a question, Dave?
Yeah.
I just about the honor killings statement that Justin made.
Yes.
Do you think that he's being gentler on honor killings because it has religious connections?
No, I just reread the text. That's not what he's saying.
Yeah, it is. And I'll give the full statement. Of course, it's what he's saying. The full statement is this: the old immigration minister was calling these things barbaric, and what Justin Trudeau said is that we shouldn't call them barbaric because we should be more sensitive to the people that are immigrating to this country. Okay. I don't really care about people's sensitivities that don't understand that honor killing is barbaric. And that is what he said, David.
I know, but the use of the word barbaric is a different implication than saying immoral or saying, saying illegal or things like that, right? But barbaric is like, it's almost like equivalent to saying that's savagery. Like it doesn't really have.
It is savagery.
But that's not the proper context in what we're saying though. It's not a legal term. It's not, when you're making a policy manual, you don't put a word like that in there. You put like
okay, but that's not what Justin Trudeau was saying. That's not what he was.
He was citing what was in a pamphlet from the Canada Discover Canada.
That's not what his complaint of it was. His complaint of it was the sensitivity towards people immigrating to Canada from the countries that the honor killings are done in.
So he thinks that we should give nicer language to it, so to gently educate these people.
Okay, I'm sorry. Call me crazy, but if you don't understand that killing somebody is because they, kiss the wrong fucking person, or maybe they're attracted to the same sex, is barbaric. If you don't understand that as a human being, then I'm not going to be more sensitive to you. And you guys wouldn't be giving the same leeway to a right wing person that was saying those things.
Yeah, so. I think you've hit something on the head here. I think I just crystallized in my brain here. I think you've hit on the thing that most bothers me about Justin Trudeau is his caginess with words and his playing both sides, and his it really feels like you're being played like big time. Yes. Like I know people who felt that. I know people who felt that way with Obama. They felt like they just couldn't get behind him because they just felt like he was being played. But I kind of bought into the whole Obama thing. I really believed in him. And whereas with Trudeau, who's kind of the similar sort of progressive leader, I never bought into it. That's why I never would have voted for that party if it hadn't been for wanting to get the Harper government out so badly. So he just turns me off with his angelic bullshit. Like, like not calling a spade, not calling honor killing barbaric and having semantics around there. And it's just like I'm sure he doesn't agree that honor killing is good, but he won't fucking say it because he's too political, he's too cagey. That's right. And that's the thing that bothers me most about him.
I would love a better politician. I'm not going to say that I wouldn't love a better politician. I would.
Yeah.
You know,
but shit like that is what gets people like Trump elected, right? Because Trump, they say, oh, he says it like it is, you know, because it's like refreshing, right? And we can't just have people who are progressive really just say, no, like honor killing is barbaric, and I'm not going to fucking mince words around that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
like that's how that definition happens.
You don't have to say that and then say like, we don't want you in our fucking country.
No.
Because that's the far example of what a right person would do. Be like, that's fucking barbaric and fuck you because you're fucking Muslim. No, what we want to say to people, that's fucking wrong, dude. Okay. Like you like over there, you guys are doing shit wrong. And if you want to live here, that shit ain't cool, bro.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't want people who agree with honor killings to be in my country. Like, if they're willing to say that or they've been convicted of that, no way, I don't want you in my country. I really don't.
Or if you need to,
you just made me happy.
Sensitize it for them, it's like, no, man, sorry. I would rather give the opportunity to the woman that single that probably needs to get in this country more than you do, because at least you can work over there where she fucking can't, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the chances of a woman. Okay, so when I first I moved to Ottawa from Victoria, BC, and me and my wife is of Sri Lankan heritage. We're sleeping one night and we hear pop, pop, pop. And there's a shopping mall right behind the apartment building we were living in. We thought nothing of it. We were like, somebody's lighting off firecrackers, whatever. Well, it turns out that a Muslim brother had honor killed his sister and her boyfriend, who was a white Canadian non-Muslim, in a car right behind our apartment building. Wow. So I would prefer not to have that shit going on in my country. And if my prime minister can't at least fucking say, like, I'm sorry, that doesn't need to be dumbed down. That literally doesn't need to be dumbed down.
At the same time, he did apologize and retract that statement. So I mean, we have to at least
after he was told to.
Sure,
I have a question, guys.
But a lot of politicians wouldn't. A lot of Carper wouldn't.
Go for it, Ed.
No, that's Dustin.
That's me. As an outsider, like, and I'm in a room full of Canadian skeptics, so I feel like this is the right place to like run a meeting by you guys. Hasn't Trudeau said something along the lines as like, who are we to tell other cultures how to like do their shit?
No,
like,
it was about your country, and what he said was, I'm not going to go to another country and tell them how to behave.
Because he didn't come out directly and criticize the Muslim ban. That's why I believe. Yes. But he did in another way, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, for some reason, I'm able to accept, that a politician can't always completely say exactly what he's thinking, but I really hate when they say the opposite of what they should say. Like, if they don't condemn an honor killing as barbaric. So I don't know I don't know why I have this line in my sand. Like, I can accept that you have to be political as a politician, but I can't fucking accept that you have to mince words around something that you shouldn't mince words around.
Like everything, it's a matter of scale and gradient.
Would you agree that he's most likely mincing those words to get votes? Because that's
absolutely
what it seems like.
To a point, but
there's the Liberal Party, right? Like for me, I look at them and I'm like, the fucking lying libs, and there are the fucking
kind of. But I think there's also there's a line of thinking in progressive, in liberals. I don't mean Liberal Party. I mean like generally left leaning liberal people to have this kind of cultural relativism, to have this difficulty. I mean, as atheists, we have this issue, right, where we want to condemn, like, okay, this is wrong. What this religion does is wrong, and liberals have a tendency toward, oh no, we have to have this cultural relativism. That's what's not wrong for them. And blah, 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 blah. Like, no, dude, like there's some, like, in my opinion, there are some things that are an unethical and an absolute sense. Like, female genital mutilation is just wrong. It's just wrong. Like, I don't care. There's no relativeness to this. But whereas there's this liberal tendency.
Like, chopping of the foreskins is wrong too. Just so we can put that out there. No chopping of foreskins.
Looks like Ed's got something to say.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Women's Day.
International Women's Day, yeah.
Yeah, International Women's Day, and we and Justin Trudeau's speech that day, and how he was so indignant in calling out every person who doesn't support Motion 103 as a bigot, and we'll what was it he said? We will scour you out or
find you or whatever. And
He said we need to lay open the wounds to the sun.
Yeah, and
I don't know what that means.
Justin said that?
Yeah, you have to look it up. It's
Angela's
really
Justin. No.
and
I haven't even told my best story. Continue. Sorry.
I know. And then he goes and talks about how every man should be ashamed if they're not a feminist. Well, I don't use that label because I'm not one for labels. A, but B, I believe in equality for all people. So to me, label is immaterial.
We don't need to talk about feminism and how that word is problematic. And I think, I mean, that
yeah, whatever.
But for someone to say,
we can have a podcast about that one day if you want.
Yeah, we should.
That's a whole other talk.
That's a whole other
can of worms.
But for him to get up and say those type of things as if he has the moral authority and does the shadiest shit behind the scenes really is really not only hypocritical, but almost I've turned off the switch to Justin now, and I'm almost wishing Harper was back. That's how bad it is.
What?
And
That's how
Shut your mouth.
Oh my God.
Oh, I think I'm having a heart attack.
And
Blasphemy.
And you have to understand, I can't stand Harper, but I almost would rather him back.
There was an honesty about him, right? There was a fuck you, this is what I'm doing, fuck all y'all, whatever.
Yeah,
like that's how Stephen Harper.
I do.
Yeah, but I mean,
he was very dictator-like.
He's like,
yes.
fuck science. Science sucks, and at least you knew what he thought. Like,
yeah. Okay, but can I address that real quick? What you just mentioned there, the muzzle order that Harper had on all,
yes,
and that is not the only way to attack science. FYI,
yeah.
The federal scientists, right?
Uh-huh.
And then so one of Justin Trudeau's campaign promises was that he was going to lift the muzzle order, and that when he took office, he said, "Hey, tell the scientists the muzzle order is lifted." That's true up until a certain point.
Yeah, up to a point.
He
Yeah.
didn't
Okay,
completely
up
do that.
until you get to environmental science, and then the exact same muzzle order that was on during the Harper government is still on our environmental scientists. So
And
I
not
mean,
many
like,
people know that.
yeah. Let's be like, I want to take a critical stance here. Like I'm sure that he's. I don't like. So I've always been against Justin Trudeau, so I'm a little bit biased, right? So
you are really biased, dude. Come on.
no. I'm just stating facts. It's what he says, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe he means something that he's not saying,
Maybe.
and then I'm gonna be like, "Fuck you, dude."
If he doesn't say it, there's no way to know. Hey.
Yeah.
There's no way to know it, right? Exactly. So, but I just think if you're going to promise to lift the muzzle order off of scientists, and then you say that you've lifted the muzzle order off of scientists, you should probably lift the muzzle order off of all scientists. So somebody like me that is longing for the days of Jack Layton can't fucking say to you, "Hey, dude, you didn't lift all the fucking muzzle order off the scientists."
Yes.
And just to be clear, this is a muzzle, like basically a scientist working for the federal government didn't have authorization to talk to
the press or to go to conference.
Yeah, but so
or to go to conference.
No, or they had to have approval to present at conferences.
To present
but that does actually not include most scientists in Canada. That just didn't apply, for example, to scientists at universities, etc.
If you're private, the Canadian government doesn't have that kind of authority.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Let's just take a quick minute and a half, 2-minute break, and then we'll come back.
When we come back, I'll move into the LGBT stuff.
Sounds good.
All right,
Okay.
commercial break coming up.
Sounds sexy.
So we have a shout out for the week.
We got a 5-star review from Yeet, and he says, "A cold douche for hot ears. Best podcast ever. Very educational and inspirational. Best podcast. Getting fast and loose there, but I appreciate it." And that's from our listener, Colby. So, man, I appreciate you listening, and I appreciate you giving us the 5-star rating. That helps out, man.
I would say that's a little aggressive.
It is a little aggressive.
Like the best podcast ever.
Yeah.
Sir, have you listened to podcasts before?
I'm feeling he hasn't. Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. Was this his first podcast?
I mean, I don't know that type of detail.
And I thought you said his name was Yeet.
His screen name is on iTunes, but his name is Colby.
Are you related to Colby? Because that's the only way somebody would say that we're the best podcast.
I am in no way related to Colby.
Okay, well, if you want to shout out, give us a 5-star review or give to our Patreon. And speaking of Patreon, we're going to be adding a lot of content to that, starting with debunking of Alex Jones. So Alex Jones recently was on the Joe Rogan Experience. It was a 4-hour podcast. He said a bunch of crazy fucking shit, like really, really crazy, and stuff that we could actually look into and debunk. Not like normal, ridiculous, like aliens have landed over here, but stuff that you can actually look into, like claims about the U.S. government, claims about Donald Trump, claims about Hillary Clinton, stuff like that.
Beyond that, we're also going to be taking extra bits that don't make it into the show. If we get onto a particularly long tangent, we have to cut it out. We'll be putting those into the Patreon account for patrons. Also, if we find individual articles that aren't enough to make a full show or are tangentially related to a show that we're putting out, we'll see if we can't get together and have a short discussion about those, read them. And then we'll see where we go from there. And here's the thing, guys. If you join the Patreon account, you really help us out. We can build this thing that we're trying to do here. And if you can't do that, and you give us a 5-star, if you give us a like, if you give us a share, that increases our reach and our exposure and helps us grow our audience. And that's really why we're here, because we want to have a conversation with you guys. So we appreciate the help. Let's get back to the show.
And we're back.
Woo!
As a resident of Alabama, I find that commercial to be highly offensive.
No stereotype whatsoever
How
there.
dare you insult my 16-digited cousins? You son of a bitch.
Dustin, the state government of Alabama just okayed religions to have police.
Hold on.
For fuck's sakes.
They gave a particular church that has a school and everything the right to hire police officers, right? That's the Briarwood. My school used to play that school in football. And my school is so shitty, to give everyone a background. Who cares? We didn't have enough people to play 11-man football, right? We played 8-man ball. You lose a couple of receivers and you drop it down because we only had about maybe 13 people on the whole team.
Don't you always have to have an even number of balls? Like if you're going to have men, I'm just saying, like, how could 11 balls work?
Well, what happened?
No,
if
8-man balls.
If Tom Green was playing, then fucking
that's
right.
The number of gentlemen on the field.
Yeah, you're the cancer person
not
here.
the
Come
number
on.
of testicles on the field. Easy mistake to make there. Yeah, I got you.
Okay, I want to.
I was just counting testicles.
Yeah, I want to preface this by saying that I have no problem with saying that inside of Canada, Justin Trudeau would fight for LGBT rights, and that he inside of Canada is for LGBT rights, and tries to do the right thing for people. I think anybody that takes a look at it inside of Canada would agree, right?
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm buying what you're selling.
Yeah. But I find it highly problematic, the letter that he wrote, or the eulogy that he wrote for Vidal Castro.
Here.
Eulogy that he wrote for Vidal Castro. And I'm going to give a couple of examples from the Castro regime that is not very friendly to LGBT. So right in LGBTQ, sorry. I don't know the other ones, but
LGBTQIA.
Okay,
what's IA?
Plus.
Intersex and
artificial intelligence.
Asexual.
Artificial intelligence.
I was told that the Q was the catch-all.
Oh, is that right?
That's what my sister's a lesbian. She explained to me
who identify as queer.
Well,
but like,
she doesn't spend enough time on Tumblr to understand.
she's just a lesbian. What are you gonna do with her?
Everybody's non-binary now.
Right.
like
She's way
lesbian.
behind.
I take her as my authority, but she's the first in the LGBTQI LMNOP. Anyway, sorry.
That was awful. I'm like, I like lesbians. Anyways,
you like
so
my
like
sister.
right in the doctrine of the Castro regime, it said that gayness is not becoming of what they would consider to be an upstanding citizen of the revolution, right? So if you're gay, then you're not worthy of being part of the revolution. And they put this into practice by jailing gay men, gay women, killing them. And at one point, when they first took over after the revolution happened, they were giving jobs to people, and they sent gay men and said, come to this certain location. We're going to have a job for a bunch of you. And when these gay men showed up, what actually happened was the secret police grabbed them, took them to a location, wrapped them in barbed wire, and stuck sand up their ass. So for Justin Trudeau, who fully knows the history of the Cuban communist regime because his father was friends with Fidel Castro, to write in a letter to him saying, sometimes controversial, but a good man, I find that highly problematic when inside your own country, you're saying that you're for the rights of gay men and women and trans.
Yeah, that whole piece that he wrote was weird. Like, even like it had a bigger than LGBT, like just like it was just weird. Like why it wasn't asked for. Like, it's not like the Canadian people were like, oh, tell us how you felt about Castro. Like, it was so bizarre. Like, and then he went on and on. It was weird.
Like he idolized,
weird, man. Dude's weird.
He idolized somebody that
I don't even like. Yeah. Like, and Castro, that's not even the Castro's and all sorts of shitty things. So like,
I want to be fair. That was a while ago. I was doing some research into Cuba today and like the LGBT community and the Black community, and things are better. But I have this Fusion article. I give you the link if we need to
Sure.
put you guys show notes or something. But there's a very compelling story about some Cuban government agents beating up a gay man, bashing him out of the rock, and kidnapping him, and taking a list of other gay people in the community. Yeah, they robbed him to take that. It makes the claim that even today in Cuba that there are many hotels and restaurants that Black Cubans are not welcome to enter. So I find that a very strong, like very odd country to and leader and regime to write a love letter to. Once again, as an outsider,
so weird.
I thought that was
can I touch on that article real quick, Corey?
Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, what the writer of the article was trying to explain was that Fidel Castro's daughter had received a bunch of praise for her stance on LGBTQIA. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Okay, so and that Cuba had changed, and he was very much like I am right now, taking a critical stance against it by saying, hey, bro, I was kidnapped by fucking plainly clothed government officials and taken, and fucking they beat the shit out of me, and they took my phone and they took all my gay friends' numbers, and then mysteriously those people also ended up beaten up. So maybe it's not as good here as what people are trying to say. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's my one thing that I would say that now. Earlier you said that I was biased. I could have brought things that Justin Trudeau's done right. Like I could bring those, but tonight we're taking a critical look at
right.
them, right?
Yeah, so that's fair.
So that's why I'm doing this, and my critical stance against what he's saying when he's coming out for LGBT rights, I would say yes at home, but not abroad.
I was joking about you being biased. I was joking. Sorry. To be biased, you can actually be 100% critical of something and not be biased, right? Because bias is just that you are coming to a conclusion without evidence, right? That's all that means. Okay. So if you have evidence to back up what your opinion is, I don't think anyone could argue that you're biased.
Yeah. I would say that I don't like him. That's how bias
works.
I would say that it would be fair to say that I don't like him.
Your bias is one way, but
if you have if you just met the whole time, I mean, for me, like, honestly, I don't like him either. And I find it funny that, like, the whole media gets on board with how, he's so sexy. I'm just like, he disgusts me. I find him schmoozy and gross.
For the record.
Me neither.
Gross.
He's, I don't know what it is about him.
I don't know. He's got abs. He's hot.
Hold on.
Well, other than Corey's attraction.
Abs do not make a guy hot.
No, he's got a schmoozy face. He's got this, like, this bullshit. Like,
I mean,
no.
The reality is we were robbed of Jack Layton and given him. Exactly. So, I mean,
I wasn't a huge Jack Layton fan.
Me and Dave agreed. Whoa. Ed was trying to.
Hey, I met Jack. He was a great guy. No, I had a good time with him.
I'm not saying he wasn't a guy. Anyways. He just held his hand so weirdly. It bothered me. I know, it's weird. It drove me crazy.
Ed wants to say something.
Sorry, Ed.
That's okay. No, you're having a great conversation. The worst part about, I think one of the worst statements I've ever heard Justin say was when he was in China and he talked about how wonderful the dictator was and how he could control the people.
I was about to bring that up, and I can give the exact quote if
go ahead, give the exact.
So he wasn't in China; he was in Canada.
No, but he wasn't African.
And the press asked him, "What country do you admire most?" And he said, "I admire China for their basic dictatorship. It turned their economy around on a dime." Now he took a lot of fucking heat for that because of the human rights violation that goes on in China. And also, what democratic fucking leader says they respect basic dictatorship?
That's just a stupid thing to say.
Do you think he has
a communist country at that? It is mind blowing the stupidity that comes out of his mouth, right?
Do you think he really thinks about? Do you think he's thoughtful about those things, or do you?
No, I think he's clearly thought about that. Like that is
really
like you would have to.
That's a gaffe, man. That's like him revealing.
No, but you would have to have sat down and thought, which country, like which leaders, like who's doing things right. You know what I mean?
No, maybe he's like, who do I suck up to, right? Like, who's gonna?
Who is doing things right? So, off of what Ed just said about China, I want to step away from kind of like the social justice issues of Justin Trudeau, and I want to kind of step into selling our security and maybe selling Western security at that.
Okay, but before you continue there, can I just make sure that we make space for the whole democratic reform, first past the post thing? We got to make space for that. Okay, make sure we have time because that's the big thing to me. Anyway, continue. We're not running out of time, are we, guys?
We're going to say 25 minutes.
Okay. In 10 minutes, we better get to this shit.
Holy shit, 25 minutes left?
Then I have an anecdote.
You have an anecdote? Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, now. I just want to remind everyone. Hold on. I compared Justin Trudeau to who again at the beginning of this?
Joel
Osteen.
How does that sound now?
Ding.
I don't even know who that is. Am I not cool?
He's like a preacher with a mega church, and he's
okay.
I don't know.
So he's well known for his big shiny teeth.
I'm the worst atheist.
Okay, check this out. Okay, so the future of military weapons is laser and fucking heat guided to, like, you know, you can bounce it off of a fucking satellite and then it fucks up an area way over there.
Okay.
So right now as it stands, like that's the consensus of what future military is laser and heat guided weaponry. As it stands right now, Canada is the world leader. So there's a company in Quebec that is the world leader in this. A Chinese company tried to buy some communications weapon thing a long time ago in Canada when Harper was still in government, and CSIS caught wind of it and they went to Trudeau and they said, hey, you cannot let this sale happen because, you know, they're going to understand the way that the NATO, countries communicate with each other. And Harper put into action a policy that would make it so that, a country that wasn't like the US or Britain, they would have to meet certain security qualifications before this technology could be sold to them. So come this company that's really advanced in lasers in Quebec, a Chinese company tried to buy it while Harper was still in charge. CSIS took a look at it. CSIS went to Harper and they said, hey, you cannot fucking allow this sale to happen. They're going to have an advantage over the Western world if they do that. And make no mistake about it, China's not an ally like the other countries are.
I have two questions. Did CSIS say fucking? You can't fucking say that.
Of course.
And the other question is the company called Le Laser?
No, it's ITF Technologies.
Well, that's fucking lame. They totally dropped the ball on that one.
Freaking laser beams.
IT fucking technologies.
Maudit lasers. That's what it should be called anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, the French listeners are going nuts.
Lasers calientes de bin. Sorry.
5 minutes for sticking, then you feel shame.
We're just derailing you because Gumby would have done the same.
My family's French Canadian, so I can do this.
Can I get through this? We have 25 minutes.
Fuck no.
Anyway, flash forward. Okay, Harper says no to the sale because CSIS says fucking it's a security risk. So he's like, no, fuck that. Flash forward to Trudeau being in charge. He's now setting it up so that China can actually buy this technology from the company. And the fact that the law states that CSIS has to take a look at it, and CSIS has already taken a look at it and said no to this sale, shows that like the reason why they're taking another look at it is because Trudeau was swayed by a foreign government. Okay.
Yeah, that seems quite problematic, actually. I wonder, has the second review actually happened now, or is that still
yet,
coming?
But they're going to say the exact, like CSIS is going to say, and even more because the technology has advanced, and the problems that North America is having with Russia right now and with North Korea, you obviously don't want this technology getting into that kind of circle where, and I don't want to be like that fucking, like the axis of evil fucking guy, but those, North Korea, China, Iran, and Russia obviously communicate because NATO isn't letting them into our little circle, right? So they obviously trade together.
I don't know that I've ever heard George W. Bush referred to as that axis of evil guy. I like that new nickname for him.
No, but he calls them the axis of evil.
Yeah, like I know, but that's awesome.
Yeah, so he called
strategery.
He also paints very nice paintings.
Yeah.
Did you see the one that he did of the Dalai Lama? That was amazing.
And we are missing him. Like I never thought I'd miss him. It's so funny.
I'm actually not.
So
really?
Part of the issue with China not being able to buy the technology is that they're not a free trade partner with Canada. Okay. Yeah. And less than a month ago, Justin Trudeau was trying to set up China as a free trade partner. That's problematic in itself as well. I won't get into the logistics of how China, they don't exactly follow the fucking labor guidelines and also the patent guidelines
or environmental regulations
of all those things of the Western world. But Justin Trudeau is more than willing to welcome them into the fold and to sell them this technology. So I do find that like crazy as well.
It's a bit bonkers.
Yes,
it's a bit bonkers.
For sure. Corey, you had a couple of links that you...
Yeah, one I really, I actually went a little bit into depth on was the Trudeau meter one. Because it measured all his promises and what he's given.
Yeah, the one I sent you, yeah.
Yeah, like...
The website, yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty good. Like, actually, comparing him, he's done about... He had 223 promises, and he's achieved, 39% are not started, 28% are in progress, 19 are achieved, and 13 are broken. after 498 days. So comparing that to the Harper government, Harper government actually made 140 promises. And I mean, as even ignoring the ideology of it, like we obviously might disagree with the promises they make, but he made promises and then he kept them.
Yes.
Where the Liberals and Justin Trudeau made promises and they aren't keeping them.
Of course, I'm just going to say this one thing and then we can get into it, but they're the lying libs. They run from the left. So what they do is during the campaign trail, they run from the left and they're like, oh, we're going to do all this shit. It's going to be fucking awesome. Yeah. They lie about it. They don't do it, but the policies that they actually do implement are center right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a criticism of them since.
Yeah, that's what they are.
Forever.
Forever. Jen, Paul Martin.
That is why I call them the lying libs.
Yeah.
And with the broken promises, I think like the two biggest that stick out. And I'm not going to say the marijuana is broken yet, but let's see is like, it's supposed to be like now, like spring. He said it was going to be unveiled.
No, it's supposed to be on April 20th to be on 420. Was it not? That was the thing.
They've announced the summer now for.
The summer. You know what? Potheads are always late. What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
The pass the poll.
Yeah,
that was an improv.
Okay.
She should have never promised that one.
This is where I fell out of love, right? Because I was like, okay, yeah, for the reasons you stated, I've never been a big fan of liberals. They've always been way too centrist and right for me. But of course, I was done with Harper. And so I was like, whatever we got to do. But this is the argument everyone made, is that just vote for what.
Can I jump in? Lisa, we have an American. Can we explain?
Oh, it's kind of like your electoral college issue. Okay. Like, so we have a parliament. Okay.
I'm American. I'm not special ed, guys. Like, Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah, you're just uneducated. No.
But you don't know what a you don't know the subtleties.
Maybe
I
for any of our,
sometimes we mix up the two.
Okay, but maybe some of our listeners may not. But just very, very simply, we have a parliament, right? And
not really. We don't really mix up the two.
And you have the country is divided into every different seats in parliament, and we have basically 4 political parties, and the party that has the most seats is the government in power, and the leader of that party is the prime minister. So we don't have a separate executive, right? So but what we have similar issue to the electoral college, where in a given riding or what you guys would call a district, if somebody gets the most of the majority of not even the majority of the votes, sorry, the most votes, whoever gets the most votes wins the entire riding. So let's say the Liberals got 40% and the Conservatives got 30%, and then the rest of it was divided amongst a few other candidates. Then that would mean that the Liberal candidate got the seat, even though they only got 40% of the vote in that riding, and it all goes to them. So what happens overall is you get a situation, we get this all the time, where you get, like, for example, the Liberals, I think, got 39% of the popular vote in the last election, but they actually have a majority in parliament, meaning they have more than 50% of the seats, and they can push through whatever they want. Because unlike in the States, we're very strict with, or the parties tend to be very strict on how they allow people to vote. You can't, the Liberals all vote one way, and the NDP all vote one way. Like, there's no
very rarely
seesawing around. Like yeah. So unlike where a Democrat can vote one way or another. Anyways, so all the political parties except the Conservatives said, we will institute electoral reform. So the argument was that, okay, whatever riding you live in, if you hate the Harper government, just vote for whoever is projected to win. Like, if if you're a staunch liberal, but the NDP is projected to win in your riding, fuck that, vote NDP. We gotta stop splitting the votes on the left. We gotta get Harper government out, which is what we did. And I plugged my nose and I voted liberal. I'm almost like a single issue voter here. And I was just like, if he breaks this shit, I remember reading an article, I think by Neil McDonald in the CBC, like 2 days after the election, talking about how unlikely Trudeau was to actually follow that promise, right? Because of course it's to his disadvantage to do that, right?
Once you're in power, but it doesn't make sense.
But really difficult.
I was like, no, I'm gonna, but as soon as he reneged on that, I was like, I am never fucking voting for you fuckers again. Like, we're gonna get another Harper because of this shit. Cause like, they're gonna split because we have like 3 left-wing parties and 1 right-wing party. We're idiots. Anyways, one party that pretends to be left and goes center. Anyways, long and short of it is I'm so fucking mad. And it is like, I am a single issue on this thing. And I'm so, cause that's how he got elected. I mean, the newscasters that night when he won, they're like, oh wow, the liberals really came back. The Canadian people have spoken. Like, no, we just said we fucking hate Harper so fucking much. We will do anything, and we will, and so many people, like, supported parties they didn't like based on their promise to have this electoral reform.
I'd say it's the marijuana one more than the electoral reform, honestly.
Here's
only among your friends, Dave.
Here's the thing.
Stats.
39% of the vote gets you 100% of the power. And that's the issue, right?
Yeah, that's the issue.
Yep.
Like the problem is that US, Canada, Britain, all these places, okay, so you have a prime minister or a president. That person takes a little bit more power. That person drags that little bit more power into the next person that's elected. That person grabs a little bit more power. And Maclean Magazine put out an article, I want to say it was about 10 months to a year after Trudeau was in office, stating that in the Western world, inside of their own country, Justin Trudeau has the most power. Are you fucking insane to think that he's actually going to give up that power? You have to be insane. There's no way he's going to give up that power. And for him, I know he did. This is what have I been trying to explain to you?
And he batted his eyelashes.
I've been trying to fucking explain this to you all night. That he is not a man. That like what he says doesn't
He's
really.
a charlatan.
Yeah, but is that Trudeau?
Bullshit.
Charlatan.
But I don't think that's Trudeau personally. I think that's our system of government. And once a party is successful, they're not going to give up on that shit.
Come on, it was up to him. He's the leader. It's
that really gives them an excuse to do anything too with that kind of logic. Like, that's what the parties have to do. Like, you have to hold them accountable.
So here's the thing.
I'll be holding them accountable.
He said, no matter what, 2015 will be the last time Canada has a pass.
I do remember that.
Voting. Okay, no matter what.
Yeah.
Come. Flash forward. Now he's saying that nobody can come to a consensus, where the NDP and the Conservative Party come forward after he said that and said, no, we did come to a consensus of what we wanted to do.
The election was a fucking consensus.
Yeah.
That was the referendum.
It's not just not Justin. And Justin Trudeau has the fucking gall to get on TV and say, oh, Canada has spoken. This is what they want. No,
I will never forgive him for bullshitting like that.
You want that, Justin? You want that, you son of a
Dave,
bitch?
Will you like snap Ralph Goodale with a towel for me next time you see him in the locker room? Like, that would be just because that's who I fucking voted for. Just so I hate the fucking liberal. And
Ralph is worth voting.
I don't give a fuck.
Ralph,
but he is working for. You can tell him it's for Justin. You can tell him to pass it on. Okay,
I could do that.
It's from me to Ralph as a voter. To him, to his boss, please.
Just for context for them, I get to hang out with politicians all the time. So.
Naked
and shaving.
I don't.
Oh, you're too old for that,
because he works at the YMCA, people.
Yeah, it's one of my jobs. One of my many jobs.
Hang out naked.
Did they send you from a pizza shop? Was there $65,000 in hot dogs? They're coming.
Actually, Ralph Goodale's pretty cool because he just hangs out with the general population.
I like Ralph Goodale a lot.
And he'll talk to
Ralph
anybody.
Goodale can go fuck himself because he's liberal. And I am so fucking pissed off about the electoral reform thing. No, it is over.
I knew that wasn't going to happen when they promised it, but I know some people did.
I knew all of their most of their promises weren't going to happen. I just want to touch the economy.
The economy?
Yep. I knew the marijuana one was going to happen, and I still think it is. I still think it will.
Okay. So, I understand when they were building their platform and their campaign strategy that they wanted to make it, and not like the economy was banging at the end of the Harper, regime, we'll call it. Because he did put all our eggs in one basket. Like for most of the time that Harper was in, I did very well for myself. Like not like I'm a rich guy, middle class guy, but I did well for myself, right? So I'm not one of the ones that is going to complain about the Harper years too much, other than the science stuff and maybe the other wackadoo shit. But I think that like with the economy stuff, he kind of built a straw man out of what was going on and telling people that we needed to go into debt in order to move forward. And the amount of debt is clearly a lie, right? So like he promised us $10 billion in debt after the first year, and that would be paid back by the time the next cycle came around. Well, right now we're 29 billion in debt and nothing's been paid back. And the projection is if it keeps going until the next cycle, that basically Canada's yearly GDP is 1.7 trillion. And that's basically what our debt is going to end up being.
Holy fuck.
But have they factored in, if there is taxation on something like marijuana, have they factored that into that projection?
Well, they haven't, because that's not a promise that's been kept. So you can't factor that in. Right. You can't factor something in that hasn't been implemented.
And I think that's why the Liberals will do it. I think like that's my biggest
Okay, but I can't see marijuana making up that. Like I do understand.
No, but I'm saying it's one thing they definitely need, though, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like
it'll have an income that they absolutely have to have.
Yeah. Is marijuana like a total non-issue for anyone else? Like I couldn't give a fuck less. Like I don't care.
It's an issue for me.
Really?
Working in the court systems and working with a lot of the youth that I work with, like it's such a stupid thing for us
agreed with that.
to waste so much
but
money.
But is it not decriminalized already?
So here,
you could convince me to move to your country.
I want to say one thing real quick.
You're always welcome here.
Trudeau government is raiding more pot dispensaries than ever before as we speak right now. Like they're strict on it. They refuse to decriminalize it, and they're shutting shit down. So it's kind of
I know the RCMP is definitely taking a weird stance. I don't know that we can directly tie that to directions from the government. Like I think
are
it's
the
still
RCMP
illegal, right?
a federal entity?
But the point is, it's still illegal. Like if it wasn't illegal, they couldn't do that. So I know.
Okay, but you don't have to like step it up.
No,
right?
I know, but there's still having dealt with a lot of the police and stuff. Like there's still a lot of really archaic viewpoints within these institutions.
Yes,
and I definitely think this is like one last cry from them to try to hold on to this.
Okay, but all Justin would have had to do is, in the process of waiting for I don't know what they're waiting for, but whatever they're waiting for, say I decriminalize it, which he refused to do.
I think there's more to it than
red
that,
tape that they have to go through. There's
but in decriminalizing it?
Yes, there was some
kind
of
what's
thing.
The red tape?
There was some kind of.
Because I'll tell you what he said.
What did he say?
He said that he's not going to decriminalize it because it does nothing to curb drug dealers from making money.
Oh, well, that's bullshit. But there was one thing that they had to do by a certain deadline. I think it had to do with the United Nations, if I'm not mistaken. They would be in contravention.
Funny how American states can just at the fucking turn of a dime, like California, make it legalized.
And I'm not disagreeing.
We're a free country, so we do what we can.
I have one more stab at Justin Trudeau, and
you too, Brutus.
But he's bleeding so bad already. He's gonna be crying when he listens to this podcast because he's one of the 200. You know,
I'll show it to him a copy when I meet him. I'll show it to him.
Okay, thanks, man.
This should slice his jugular. He's talking about he ran on a policy of how environmental friendly he was and how you know he's going to save the planet. We're going to have freaking carbon tax now. Thanks, Justin, you prick. But anyway, but he's all gung ho about pipelines going to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm gonna. Oh, this is where I'm going to be like fucking.
I found the link that I was talking about, Dave.
Yeah.
There's a treaty that they have, a UN treaty that stands between us and legal pot.
Rip it up. UN's not worth a grain of salt.
Yeah, there's an obstacle which the federal government hasn't said how it plans to deal with 3 international treaties, one dating from 1961, that commit Canada to keep weed illegal.
Okay, but we also have treaty with natives that we don't really keep. So people that don't live in our country.
Those are more important. Those are more important, I think. Those treaties.
What's your argument that we don't keep treaties, therefore we don't keep this treaty?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like,
wouldn't a better argument be let's keep all our treaties?
If we're not going to keep treaties with our own fucking brothers, why the fuck would we keep treaties with somebody that has fucking the head of their fucking human rights commission is Saudi Arabia?
Yes.
As soon as the UN did that, I was like, piss on the UN. Fuck them.
And that's one of the options. They could ignore the issue and legalize pot anyway.
Yeah, I think that's what they'll have to do.
That's like, fuck, who cares?
Because the international law is actually just a suggestion. Like, I'm not joking. Like, it's not binding in any way.
There's no enforcement agency.
I also want to add that their inaction is something I will say for sure. I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Against the RCMP is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, I still think that the police organizations are still kind of stupid in some places.
Yeah.
But they can withdraw from the treaty, and there was a certain deadline in place that they have to do it by a certain time.
All right, so
I want to touch on the pipeline real quick.
Okay,
do
it quick.
Let's do it.
Super quick. Okay, so I'm not going to be too critical of the pipeline stuff. It was kind of naive of people to think that you could do things without. Like, I would say, like, let's do oil, but in the meantime, let's fund other things so that we can get out of oil. But in the process, like, nobody's got a plan for renewable energy. Nobody's got a plan for how I'm going to get in my truck and drive to work on fucking Monday morning. So in the process, let's do it. Let's get the East Line going so that we can cut Putin out of fucking Europe, and let's just do it. And in the meantime, the profits from that, let's come up with something different.
Yeah, but that's not my point. My point is, again, it shows his hypocrisy.
Yes.
Running on one thing and then doing the opposite.
Yeah.
That's right.
I would say he's not going far enough.
First Nations are also pissed about some of the same things.
Yes, we didn't get onto the First Nations stuff, and like there's actually a lot of stuff that we didn't get to. Yeah. But
I should have said 3 hours instead of 2 hours.
Can I just quickly say that this discussion has been refreshing, because it feels like when you discuss American politics, you're just like, well, it's just so beyond the norms, and this feels like a discussion you would have like 3 years ago, where you actually criticize a politician who's kind of got some gray areas, right, as opposed to just pure evil like Donald Trump. Like, honestly, sorry, but yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
And if you want to know anything, good about Justin Trudeau, find somebody fucking else, because you ain't finding it here.
One last thing, I kind of like Trump for one reason. He gives me great material. I can fucking laugh at him all day long.
Dave Chappelle said he's the worst thing that's happened to comedy because now everybody's telling the same joke.
Yeah, it's too easy. It's too easy.
Yeah. Well, one for real last thing. As an American, I get a little buzz from telling other countries what they're doing wrong and their shit,
That's what you do.
I know that I've had a slight orgasm for the last hour, so I really appreciate it. It's been nice.
That's your O face. Perfect.
If we can create boners on the show.
Secret's out. Secret's out.
Dang.
We're all about the boners.
Yeah, we are all about the boners.
I think we found a title for this episode.
All about,
All right, guys. Where can people find you?
Oh, fuck it. Ottawa? No, I'm just kidding.
Just wander around Ottawa and be like, Dave.
I'm coming to Ottawa in
every
October.
dude turns around because come on, it's Canada. Everyone's named Dave.
Yeah.
Well, if you're coming in October, you'll have to hit me up. I'll take you out for pints. It is Wayward Atheist Podcast. Wayward Atheist Podcast or Wayward Atheist on Facebook. Also on Twitter. You can email us at waywardatheistpodcast@gmail.com. We also have a Patreon. What is it, Dustin?
I don't know anything about the Patreon, man.
You don't?
Are you kidding me?
Ed?
No, that's David's domain.
It just starts Wayward Atheist in
Patreon.com/Wayward Atheist.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Bam,
There you go. Bam.
Excellent deduction.
Corey's
Corey.
so good at what he does.
Just use the Google.
We're actually going to be beefing up our Patreon. You can expect to find some debunking and some. I don't want to call myself a comedian, but some making fun of fucking Alex Jones coming up in the Patreon real quick. Tomorrow we're going to be recording the first episode of it. We're actually taking the full 4-hour Joe Rogan podcast that Alex Jones is on and breaking it into like half an hour segments.
Really?
And yeah, that's what
we're breaking it down actually like into 30-second segments, and like every claim he makes, So it'll take us months.
It'll take us like a year.
At the beginning of the show, when I said that I was debunking stuff, all four of us are actually debunking stuff, and that's
we have 8 claims this week, and then we have a documentary to do next week.
Wow. Yeah, that is from the Joe Rogan podcast that we're doing right now. And I don't know if you guys have been listening to our Alex Jones segments, but they've been pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah, that's if you don't listen to the Wayward Atheists for any other reason, you have to listen to the Alex Jones segment.
I gotta check it out.
We're actually beefing up the whole show. It's getting a little bit longer. We're including some more segments. We're changing the way we're recording and editing to try to get a better quality audio out there. So we're trying to deliver a better product for everyone to enjoy. So even if you've heard us before, come back through and give us another listen over the next couple of weeks and tell us what you think about the new format.
Right on.
And
Sweet.
For all you Canadians out there in Toronto this year, there's the Imagine No Religion 7 that's going to be out conference. It is from June 2nd to the 4th. Be there because the Wayward Atheist podcast crew will be there.
Nice.
Unfortunately, you have to go to Toronto for that.
I'd gladly come if I could. If I could, I would.
It is my.
I'm the Toronto hater in the group.
Oh,
it is my
who
first
cares?
time
What do you mean
meeting.
Toronto hater? Fucking whatever. Who cares?
Fucking hate Toronto.
There's
Fuck
people
Toronto.
awesome. There's awesome people everywhere.
Yes, there's awesome people in Toronto, but the city itself sucks. Sucks my balls.
So
I don't even have balls, and it sucks.
Your chocolate salty balls.
Bill, yeah, but you live in a place where you can watch your dog run away for 3 days. You're going to complain about fucking Toronto?
I've lived in Toronto. I've lived in Saskatchewan. Let me tell you, Saskatchewan's way better.
We have like 5 discussions now. This is another one we have to have.
Can we do Saskatchewan?
Toronto. Hate Toronto.
About how long
we
interviewed
Bill.
Yes.
We interviewed Bill last week from Imagine
Show
7.
just dropped.
He's an awesome guy. I like his concept. He's kind of up my alley in the freedom of speech aspect and people not trying to tell him who to have at his fucking conference. We got along great. So he has assured me that they're going to have a section for podcasts.
Okay.
I am going to make Wayward Atheist podcast t-shirts. I'm going to make three of them because 3 of us are going to be there. So if you see somebody wearing an Wayward Atheist podcast, yes, t-shirt, come up to us, we'll interview you.
Sweet.
Just tap any one of us on the shoulder. And
we would love to talk to anyone.
Shoulders only people.
No, you can tap my dick.
You can tap me anywhere you would like to.
I'm not one of those like, fucking.
You're not snobby about it. Yeah, okay.
If you touch my dick,
don't
I'll
touch my
be your
penis.
friend. No. If you touch my penis, I'll probably be your friend.
Grab him by the dick instead of by the pussy.
It doesn't matter.
Angela, can you grab the mouse there and we're gonna say goodbye. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you so much, guys.
That was a lot of fun.
Having us.
Thank you for having us.
Great, guys.
This was the Wayward Atheist Podcast. Visit our new website at waywardatheists.com. Follow us on Spreaker, spreaker.com/waywardatheists. You can email us at waywardatheistpodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at waywardatheists and on facebook.com/waywardatheists. If you enjoy our content, feel free to leave us a review on iTunes and feel free to support us at patreon.com/waywardatheists.